Welcome to Taxing Times with R.C. Thornton and Todd Mearmon. I am Todd Mearmon, and with me, as always, is R.C. Thornton.
Great to be here, Todd.
It's great to be here, too. Lots to talk about. I'm going to hand it over to you first, and we can definitely talk about taxing times.
Yeah. Well, I think what we really want to talk about today is to understand the perspective of business owners who have really substantial back IRS tax problems. Because, Todd, you might agree with this or not, but I think there's kind of a conception that people who have back tax problems are generally just people that are really broke or financially hard up in general. So you think of people that are just like unemployed, or maybe they're on disability, or they're retired, or they're making 30, 40 grand a year. So yeah, those guys didn't have any money at all. So therefore, not paying their taxes was part of their problem. But I mean, in our firm, what we've really seen over the last 10 years is there's a whole echelon of people, particularly business owners, who at least on paper have actually made decent money, but they have these astronomical back IRS tax problems. I'm sure you would agree with that. Absolutely. You've seen over the years. So
absolutely, yeah, it's pretty amazing actually if you think about it. Yeah, and what led to these liabilities? Like, what are they not doing in their business that's correct to lead to these problems?
Yeah,
and it is astounding how many people who run businesses or small businesses are not keeping track and not keeping on top of their finances or their tax returns or that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's a couple things. I think one of the biggest reasons is that for a lot of people in business, when you get started, you start in survival mode, right? You have nothing. You're not making any money. You have nothing going on. So your focus is on making money. And to kind of give that focus to getting your business started and surviving, it takes basically all the effort and energy you have for a lot of people. And, you know, when you're just starting in your business, if you're not making really any net profit or anything, I mean, yeah, you're supposed to be doing your taxes, but maybe it's not super de-duper important, I guess,
right.
Because, like, dude, if you can't even pay your mortgage or your rent, like, who cares about taxes, right? But the problem is once people kind of get things going and they start to get some success, they don't, in their mind, switch over to, okay, like now I need to start taking care of business properly as far as my finances go. And so they don't start implementing things like proper tax, proper accounting procedures. They don't start managing their cash flow and the cycles in their business. And because of that, even though they're making money on paper, they don't even really have a bearing as to what is going on financially in their business. And then tax time just kind of creeps up on them. Right. And then because as a business owner, you're responsible for filing and paying all of your old taxes. There's no withholding, for example, like W-2 withholding. It's easy to just put that by the wayside. And I think that's how a lot of people just start to get into trouble, is they start to make some money like on paper, but they're not really making money in practice because they're not managing their financial situation right. And the next thing you know, years pass and they owe a tremendous amount of money.
Absolutely. And it feels like sometimes that they just want to bury their head in the sand and just kind of ignore it and think it's just going to go away and keep conducting the same business the way they have been and keep going on the same mountain when it just escalates into something much, much, much worse. Would that be a fair statement?
I absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make with these problems is they just they blow it off. And, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the IRS makes it easy to blow it off in the short term. I mean, I'll just be transparent. Like, if you want to go a few years without filing and paying your taxes, you can probably get away with it, hearing nothing from them. So I think a lot of people, they kind of get in this false sense of security that, like, hey, they're kind of leaving me alone. This is some problem I can address later. But for a lot of people, I mean, that the chicken just comes home to roost eventually, even if it's 3 years later, 5 years later, or 10 years later, for sure.
Absolutely. And it just seems like, people with small businesses who are, like you said, making money on paper, the IRS they're basically catching the eye of the IRS eventually. I mean, you can fly underneath the radar for so long, but eventually you're going to go in their scope. They're going to say, hey, this is not right. We're going to start coming after you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem is, Todd, when you get on the radar, you usually get on it in a pretty big way, especially for the kind of clients we deal with who are more established business owners. I mean, we, for example, had clients who haven't filed their taxes in years, and then they get audited. The IRS is like, hey, bro, like, we haven't gotten your taxes for 7 years, so why don't you just go ahead and send us all of your bank statements, send us all of your 1099s? And we're going to go through all that with a fine tooth comb because you didn't file. Versus if you did file, this probably wouldn't even have ever come up, right? Then you get audited, and then they're disallowing all this stuff, whatever mistake you might have made. Like, did I forget to file 1099s? Did I forget to have all my substantiation? Now you've just created a needless problem for yourself. And so that's what happens when you get behind the eight ball. Or, I mean, we've seen this a lot in our firm too. You get assigned to a collections employee, like a local revenue officer, who they're just scoping you out. Like, they're showing up at your home, they're showing up at your place of business, they want to talk to you personally. Because if all they know in their mind is they're like, hey, this guy, like, if you look at his bank account, he's got multi 6 figures, 7 figures, multi 7 figures rolling in and out of there on a yearly basis, but he hasn't filed and paid taxes. So what's going on? And obviously, you know, they see a guy like that and they just want to move that person straight to the top of the enforcement priority, because in their mind, they're like, there's something here we really need to get into. So who are they going to enforce on? Grandma that owes 25 grand who's on Social Security? Or are they going to enforce on some guy making $700K a year in his business, but he hasn't filed and paid taxes in a long time? I mean, it's obvious what they're going to want to spend their time going after.
Yeah, it's a not much of a thought process there. They're going to come after you, with guns a-blazing, so to speak. So
for sure.
Yeah, we've seen it happen, and you know, when you start getting levies or, you know, seizures of property or assets, I mean, that can basically just shut a business down really quick.
Yeah. And Todd, what have you seen? I mean, you've been in this industry a super long time, as have I. I mean, what have you seen change in terms of enforcement from the IRS, particularly this year in 2025, maybe as compared to the last several years?
It's definitely with small business owners or people owning a business that's generating a certain amount of income. Usually back around 125, I would think it's 125,000. Is that right? But it just seems like they're more aggressive. They're becoming more and more aggressive. So they're going after everything they possibly can. Your bank accounts, your assets, property, putting liens on you, so you basically can't finance anything. They are really coming full force, I guess you could say, coming down hard. Compared to other years I've been working in my 13, 14 years of doing this, it just seems like 2025 is the year.
It seems like it. I mean, because I'm sure you would agree, you know, kind of when COVID happened back in 2020, over the last few years, it's been kind of kitty gloves. I mean, we've had a lot of people. The IRS wasn't really levying anybody for the most part. Liens were at an all-time low. And I mean, our phones have just been blowing up with people who they're saying, I got levied or I got a lien filed. And, you know, at first I thought it was like a mistake. I'm like, nah, the IRS hasn't done that for a long time. But we come to realize, like, whoa, I mean, they're taking this seriously.
It's true. It's true. We're getting clients now that have been levied already. Like that got their attention. You know, it's funny. We're talking about, like, you know, what led to them to get in this situation and not taking it seriously and burying their head in the sand. Now we're getting clients where their wake up call is their bank account's frozen. They wake up one day and they can't access their bank account. We even had someone recently, I think, he couldn't make payroll.
Yeah.
And I don't know, as any business owner, I cannot imagine. Yeah,
it's a problem. You can't pay your people, you're kind of out of luck for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how scary that is, as stressful it is as a business owner. I can't pay my employees, and then that trickles down. The employees going, "Hey, I got bills to pay, and if I don't get paid, I'm not going to be able to pay."
It's not going to fly. Yeah,
exactly. So you're opening up yourself to lawsuits there. I would think so.
Oh yeah.
So we're getting clients, already levied and having these problems already. Whereas in the past, like you said, it was pretty much like the COVID era. They were kind of like really soft and walking around tiptoeing, basically, the IRS was, I should say. And now it's much, much more aggressive for sure.
Absolutely. And I really think one of the biggest things for business owners who have this really substantial back tax problem to really understand is kind of to have a realistic expectation of what fixing this problem even is. Because I'm sure you see the ads too. I mean, I know I see them on Facebook and Instagram probably a dozen times a day of these companies out there that are just claiming all of your back taxes can get written off through some government program and you should hire this company to qualify for that program. And I mean, what's your take on that, Todd? Do you think there's this magic shortcut out there where everyone's taxes just go away forever? Or
yeah, I mean, here's the rule of thumb, right? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Because if that was a magic wand or a fresh start program, like something like that could solve everybody's tax problems, everybody would be doing it, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that not many people qualify for those kind of programs, and these companies too. I'm not trying to to badmouth any companies, anything of that nature. But when they're making promises like that without looking at your situation, they're making false promises. They can't guarantee that, right? And that's something that I'm really proud of with our firm is that we don't do that. We're going to tell you straight up what it's like, what's going to happen. We don't make any false promises. We don't make promises we can't keep.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you got to be careful with these, like you said, these other businesses who are doing tax resolution, who just basically want your money at the end of the day. And are they really going to help you and work with you? And if they're making false promises, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So be wary of that for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, what I always try to tell business owners is that fixing this problem isn't about qualifying for some program or the IRS just letting you off the hook, even though everyone else had to pay their taxes. I mean, let's be real. I mean, that's not going to happen unless you're in just a very extreme hardship situation. I mean, if you're, again, grandma who's 83 who is only on Social Security and has no assets, I mean, maybe you could get it all written off, perhaps. But dude, I mean, if you're making money, that's not going to fly, right? So what I try to tell clients is that you have to change your thinking from like looking for an out to putting together a strategy to get this thing fixed. Right. And what that really means, number one, is understanding and shoring up your own financial position. It really means how do you present your business and your financial standing to the IRS in a way that makes you look as broke or unable to pay on paper as you possibly can. Right. How can you, use accounting rules and IRS rules to really position yourself to have the most favorable outcome. Mm-hmm. The second thing is if you have unfiled tax returns, like a lot of our clients and people that come to us, I would say 75% of them have delinquent past due tax returns. I mean, really one of the biggest leverage points you have, which we really work with our clients on, is to come up with every possible deduction and write-off to which you're legally entitled, right? Because every dollar less you make on paper is going to be an extra 40 to 50 cents in taxes, penalties, and interest you don't have to pay, right? So we want to be like a bloodhound getting all these write-offs. And I would also say a huge component of it is to understand how to change your operations and future-proof what you're doing so you're not just accumulating additional problems down the road, right? So it's like, yeah, we can fix this, but if you just owe another 50 grand come April 15th, 2026,
what's the point?
Like you might as well just not even waste your time paying us or trying to fix it if you're not truly committed to long-term change in your life.
Absolutely. You got to have the change attitude. And I think that's what I like about us too, RC, is that we do tax coaching. I like how we spend time with the clients to kind of restructure a business if needed, or give them the tools and tricks to never have these problems again. And I do think that's what sets us apart from a lot of other companies for sure. Yeah, but you're right. Exactly. If you're gonna have a tax problem every year, it defeats the purpose, right? So.
Yeah, there is no solution to that problem. I mean, there's only kicking the can. In which case, you might as well not pay anyone or do anything. Like if that's going to be your approach, right? I mean, just serious. Just for being honest with each other. Like, you might as well. So.
Well, it's like going around the mountain and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So you can't go around the same mountain thinking, oh, it's going to be different this time. Well, no, it's not. It's going to be the same problem if you're not going to fix it. So
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, RC, that I know we talked about, they're making money or they're not making much money at first when they start their business and they eventually grow and they're making money. But what do you think is a factor, like the real factor of why people don't want to tackle this problem?
I think because this is one of those problems that is like, it's not a big problem. People don't perceive it to be a big problem until it is. Okay. So let me give you an analogy, like going to the dentist, right? Like we all know we're supposed to go every 6 months or whatever, but what if you don't? Like what if you're not flossing or brushing your teeth, right? Like, in the back of your mind, you're like, this is going to be an issue, but maybe today, tomorrow, next week, next month, it doesn't really feel that bad. Like it's like, hey, whatever, no big deal. But then you wake up one day and your gums really hurt or your tooth is really hurting. And then you go to the dentist and they're like, whoa, I mean, you have a huge problem. Like it's going to cost a lot of money to fix it. So I think this is just one of those out of sight, out of mind things. And I think people are also afraid of the IRS. And what people don't understand is that the IRS actually wants to help people that want to help themselves. Like, I mean, we've had clients who have owed millions of dollars individually or their business entity as one person or one business own millions in back taxes. And the IRS was more than happy to work with us to get it fixed. So people don't understand that. But, again, on the back end, to actually get it fixed, you have to have the right strategy, which is what we take our clients through. But people are afraid there's some bigger pressing matter that's in their life right now that they think they need to deal with.
Yeah.
And, like they just like, hey, I'll just put it off until tomorrow. And then, but like my dentist analogy, you do that at your own risk, and eventually the chickens come home to roost. But like the dentist analogy, if you just said, dude, I'm going to go to the dentist and just get my teeth cleaned, you could spend $100 or whatever getting your, I don't know, they do whatever they do, right? Versus now you have cavities and gum problems and it costs like $5,000. It's like,
Root
dude, you could
canal,
have just taken
yeah.
care of it. Yeah, you could have just taken care of it a long time ago. So
Absolutely, yeah. So that small fee that you're worried about is now, triple, double, triple, quadruple in size, basically.
yeah, exactly.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I get it, and people are afraid of the IRS, but the IRS does want to help. They're not as evil or
Yeah.
mean as people make them out to be.
They're just looking for people to take their problems seriously. And I mean, I know it sounds so simplistic, but a lot of people, they don't take their problems seriously when they're behind with the IRS. They're just looking for a way to, put it off. And I get it. Right. But every time the people that come to us, they're like, I got levied. They're showing up at my house. They're doing all this stuff. It's all the people that have like been putting this off in some way. And it just really doesn't have to escalate to that point, but you do have to be proactive.
Yeah. It's the ones that ignore the IRS where they start getting more in trouble. I mean, if it's that simple.
Yeah, 100%.
Ignore the problem. Yeah, again, ignoring the problem is not going to make it go away. It's just going to escalate it eventually.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, seen it happen for sure.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, 2025 is for some reason this is the magical year where they're just stepping things up.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it is, and I don't know exactly if this is exactly correct or not. I mean, I have read about this. I've heard about it from other practitioners. But I think, during this year, the government has laid off a lot of people. And I'm not going to get political on it. That's not even the point. But the reason I say that is the IRS has downsized a lot. And I think what they're doing is they're replacing their manpower with a lot more automation. And I think like they just have some computer system back there that just goes through people's delinquent tax accounts and it says, hey, this guy has been kind of blowing this off for a long time and he owes a lot of money. Let's just go after him. And so then you just start getting levies and liens and all this stuff just coming down the pipeline.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah. And there's like no sympathy for the COVID argument anymore either. Like, my business suffered during COVID. Like, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but that was 4 years ago. So, they're just like, okay, like we're just going to start taking your stuff. Like, no problem.
Right. Yeah. It's a heart wrenching to have that conversation with somebody when they're getting levied or they're losing their stuff or their business is shutting down. So yeah, definitely. How else would you say is this affecting people as far as people who own small businesses and are owing a substantial amount or haven't filed tax returns in a while?
I would say, putting aside the stress of dealing with the IRS, I would say the number one impact it has on business owners is you have to put like a lot of your plans in life on hold. You want to buy a house? I mean, how are you going to do that if you haven't filed your taxes?
Right.
You want to borrow money to grow your business? I mean, how's that going to happen if you're not, none of your filings are in, if you owe a bunch of money?
Right.
And I think it just puts a lot of needless stopping on growth. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are kind of like, the way their mind works is they want to keep going to that next level, right? But you can't do that if you have this tax problem just anchoring you down. The other area I would say it impacts people is it causes a lot of interpersonal conflict in their life. I mean, I've had people tell me, they say, RC, my girlfriend doesn't want to get married. I'm afraid to tell my wife, my fiance about this problem. And I've had people that have gotten divorced over it, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've had that conversation with clients. They're like, my wife she's on her way out because she thinks I'm just not managing my financial affairs appropriately. And so it has a lot of like personal life impacts as well. So you're just kind of stuck, man. And if you want to like live your life that way, like off the grid, on the run, no one else in your life, like I guess you can get away, like fair enough, I suppose. But I think for a lot of people, like you have something more you want to do in your life with your business and with other people. And you kind of have to get your shit in order, for lack of a better word, in order to actually like accomplish that objective.
Absolutely. And I would think you'd want to, because if you got a business, obviously people don't go into business to say, I want to fail.
Yeah.
They go into business because they want to be their own boss. They want to own their own company. They want to, sell whatchamahoots and all that kind of stuff, whatever they want to do. And they don't want to go in there and say, okay, I'm just going to fail and screw everything up and screw up my life and screw up my marriage and that kind of thing. So you would think you'd want to be on top of it so your business can be successful, so you can
Yep.
make that money. You can take those vacations with your family. You're not having family problems that deal with money or taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think, those who I see it in our firm, people who really want to help, they're like really on top of it. Whatever we
Yeah.
request from them, they want to get it done because they know the severity of the consequences that could possibly happen or will happen if they don't get this stuff rectified.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's one of the important things for people to know too. Is like if you do reach out to our firm or whatever firm or solution, right? Let's say you're dedicated, you've decided you want to change this. I would say one of the biggest things I would tell people is that fixing this problem, it's not so much about negotiating with the IRS alone. It's really about more of like changing yourself in a way, and your habits and your actions really have to change at an underlying level. Like, don't go down this road and then continue to procrastinate, continue to put this off, continue to not pay estimated tax payments, continue to not stay current. Because again, that's just going to blow up in your face, and then you're going to waste a lot of time and money on someone like us to fix your problem, and it won't get fixed. So you got to really understand, like, you have to change and confront a lot of the demons within yourself to truly make meaningful change in your life. Like, if you really want this gone, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely, you got to be dedicated to getting it done. And I think people should look at it as like it's a season of your life.
Yeah,
Right? Like this is not going to take all your lifetime, or it's not going to take years and years and years to get a resolution in place and get you back on track.
yeah,
It's just a small portion of your life that you got to just deal with
100%.
and get through that mountain, get up that mountain, get through it, and that way you can see the light of day and be successful in your business again. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think people have that misconception that, oh, this is going to take a long time. This is going to take so
Yeah.
much of my effort. And it is going to take some effort, obviously. It's not going to be like, everyone's going to do the work for you. You do have to participate in the process. But it's like I said, it's not going to be a long
Yeah.
season, so.
Yeah, you just knock it out and deal with it and move on with your life. I mean, that's all it really takes is just that concentrated energy and a commitment to long-term change.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
if you can, another analogy would be like quitting smoking. Like, quitting smoking is like one of the hardest things to do in life if you're a smoker. You got to change your habits, right? It's not just a matter of sticking a nicotine patch on your arm or a gum or whatever it is. It's your habits, changing your mindset. So if you drink and have a cigarette, you got to kind of get rid of some stuff, right? Associating stuff like that. So it's the same mindset. You just got to change your habits, and that way you can get this behind you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today.
It's been a great conversation. Yeah, I think the
absolutely.
more people know and they can understand their problem, the more they can know what they need to do to get it fixed. So I'm really glad we had a chance to talk about this here today. And
too.
thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you, RC. You have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right. Bye.